Hello there, fishies. Oh no. I'm going to be doing something a bit different for this video. I'm going to be just kind of talking, more like a kind of podcast with video in the background to represent what I'm talking about, because my edited videos are cringe, and I can guarantee that this will be cringe too, but like, hopefully slightly less cringe, and besides, I'm just kind of experimenting with like different video styles right now. Also check out my TIG devlogs if you want to see some written ones, and without further ado, let's see what I've been doing in Fishy this summer. Alright, so my first change is Minisub, the first pet in the game, used to simply just go around and collect meat for you and just hold it. But honestly, that was extremely useless, and if anything, just made it harder to collect the meat rather than easier. So I instead made it so there's a new system that will apply to every pet in the game, where if you collect these items called pet charges, which I also added into the game, you get to press X and it does some like crazy attack or some sort of crazy ability, and for Minisub that is a giant laser. On top of this just being much more helpful than the meat collecting pet, I think that it also adds a bit more depth to the gameplay, because now you actually have to like notice the button prompt and go out of your way to press it in order to activate the ability, and you have to maneuver yourself into a position where the ability can actually be helpful. But if you have any ideas for some pets or pet abilities or whatnot, then feel free to leave them in the comments. I do read the comments. Anyway, next thingy. Next thing. It's big feature time, baby! Alright, so, this one did not go very well. The plan was for me to make a level editor for the game, and I'm still definitely gonna do that, but let me tell you how it went. So, the, slightly more in-depth plan was for me to, no pun intended, was for me to, use, like, the kinda code formatting from my other kinda small free game on itch.io called Blueprints of the Blade, because that's the only level editor that I've ever made for any game before, so I just decided that could be a good template for this. So I copy-pasted all the code and assets and stuff, and I kinda merged it with some of Fishy's code, and surprisingly it actually worked relatively quickly, and you could like spawn in Fishy, move him around, spawn in chunks of water, and it was all going great. And then I tried playing the base game again, and for some reason there was an invisible wall somewhere that completely, like, broke the entire balance of the game. And I could not figure out why it was there. But I knew that the level editor was causing it, so, yeah, I just completely axed the level editor. And again, don't worry, I am gonna add a level editor to the game someday, but, yeah, that kinda crushed my morale when it came to level editor for a little while, so, rip. So after that bummer, I just spent a little while just optimizing the code and fixing all the broken parts of the game, and now it should be quite a bit faster to add new levels and new extra game modes to the game. More on that later. So yeah, it was definitely worthwhile, but I didn't really feel like doing anything too major because I was still kinda crying in the corner a little bit after that level editor bummer. Anyway. Then I did something that I've kind of been dreading for a long time now, but knew that I had to do at some point, and that is death animations. I took a lot of inspiration from Dashing Fire by Blackthorn Prod, which is a great game by the way, you should check it out, and used the same kind of strategy with like making a corpse sprite appear and a splatter and some particles, and I think it adds a lot more impact to every enemy that you kill, and it's a lot more satisfying. As one of my friends described it, it's almost like watching their soul leave their body. Fun. Then probably the most glorious bug that I've ever seen in my entire life happened while I was implementing that. Look at this. Oh, and I also finally got Steam achievements to work, so it's pretty epic. Here are the ones that I've made so far. Speaking of Steam, that freaking pop-up thing in the bottom right corner finally shows now. You have no idea how long that took me to make that work. I also added a Minisub attack to the choppa, not like the pet Minisub, I mean like an enemy Minisub. And then I just did more of the endless piles of little things to do in game development, such as improving the lore menu, and actually making the pause button pause the game. I know, right? Don't worry, it's not all just little things that I did though, because I added a new NPC to the game. His name is Gilbert, and he is a devout capitalist and a clam. He may look innocent on the outside, but he's not. We don't really talk about what he did in this house. I just, yeah. On top of that, I also got a new gaming PC, so now I don't have to develop Fishy with a somewhat crummy but a laptop, so that's pretty cool. Here's some footage of it, pretty epic. Then I added some more particles to the game just to polish things up a little bit more, and these cute little character dialogue boxes that show while you're talking to somebody. In case it isn't obvious, I'm doing a lot of polishing work, and I continued that trend by adding these like floating environmental particle thingies and hit effects, like for when you get hit. It's the large suggestion moment. Welcome to the first ever large suggestion moment, where I take an idea from you and steal it and shamelessly copy it and add it to my game. Fun, right? So this one dude, here he is on screen, came up with this great suggestion to add a giant clam boss with tentacles coming out of its mouth. Now, I'm not sure it's giant, and I don't think it qualifies as a boss, but it's definitely a clam with tentacles coming out of its mouth. And I did this both to prevent a softlock and to add a bit more depth to Gilbert's character. So, yeah, if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments, and I may make fun of you and steal your idea in the next video as well. Alright, this was the first large suggestion moment. After that, I became an exterminator and started a huge debugging wave. There are way too many bugs for me to cover in this video, but the most notable one that I fixed was, so Fishy's movement used to be like really unstable, especially when you kept like rapidly turning around in circles while moving and stuff. He'd like jitter around and the glitch and stuff, and it was just kind of a mess. Long story short, I finally figured out what was causing the bug, and I fixed it, so now Fishy moves exactly the way he was supposed to. Massive W. And with that, the first area of the game, the Tropical Shallows, is basically done. And so is the Steam demo. Now, that's not to say there's nothing I want to improve. I'm already thinking of some improvements to the UI and healing system, and I also want to add better backgrounds later, but for the most part, the functionality of the shallows is completely done. So, yeah, give it a shot, link in the description, and test out the Steam demo. Pretty epic. But, you know what this means, it's time to move on and work on other zones and other things. So, I started working on an intro cutscene. I'm not going to show that right now because of spoilers, but, I think it's pretty interesting. Wait. Actually, it's on the TIG devlogs. Actually, you know what, screw it. Here it is. Here's the intro cutscene that I'm working on. And, I also started work on the next zone, the testing lab, testing labs. It's meant to be very fast-paced, evasive, lots of like jumping in and out of water, and yeah, it's meant to be quite a special zone compared to everything else. Here's what I've got for that zone. Lastly, I did 2 more things. I added in this extras menu with all the extra game modes. I'm gonna, like, censor the bottom half of it somehow because I don't want to reveal those modes yet. And I also made this handy-dandy developer sketchbook for me to just jot down some notes and ideas. It already helped me flesh out what I think about all the future zones that I'm gonna add to the game. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, then be sure to wishlist the game on Steam, subscribe if you want to, and join my Discord. And I'll see you next time. Bye.